Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sonic Chronicle. My name is Owen. I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm no longer as under the weather as I have been as of late. So thank you very much for bearing with me while I wasn't doing much on the channel, but I was just recuperating, getting myself back in action so that I can listen to more music. Today we have another, I suppose, independent Irish release from an artist named, he goes by the name pMad as an artist, but his name is actually Paul Dillon. He sent me over a press release. He sent me over a new track that he has out. I've given it a listen. I like it. And we're going to listen to it together. We're going to talk about it a little bit more. Before we do that, though, we're going to have a little bit of a read of his press release. So, professionally known as pMad, Paul Dillon from Portumna, County Galway in Ireland is a singer-songwriter, solo artist, producing a colourful mix of gothic, indie, metal rock and post-punk, which brings a unique and interesting concept to his music. And, you know, I think that is mostly true. I don't hear a ton of the indie stuff, to be honest with you. I hear all the other stuff mostly. Definitely the post-punk, definitely the gothic. I would argue there's a lot of electronica in there is an influence as well. But I digress. Paul was previously in bands The Suicidal Dufflecoats, Starve the Barber, and currently The Greeting and pMad. Records and creates his music in Ireland, self-released on Zedacube Records, in collaboration with Protonaut Studio in Germany and Elith Mastering Labs in Mexico, without ever being in the same room together. That's interesting. That's quite like Dana Bailey when I spoke to her. pMad's new album. So pMad has a new album in addition to this single. This is to promote the album, and the single is called Missing, and the album is called I in Power. I've listened to 5 tracks of it now. I haven't listened to the entire record yet, but from what I've listened to already, it is very, very good and well worth your time. I'll talk about that in a little bit in a minute. It's a collection of 8 original new tracks available as a download and or CD. On Bandcamp only. The singles can be streamed in all of the usual places. The second album, I in Power, is the follow-up to the successful debut album, Who, Why, Where, What. I have listened to that as well. That is an interesting record. It's very dark. It covers very, very heavy themes, from what I recall of listening to it. And again, in my opinion, is very, very heavily influenced by kind of like bands like Joy Division and Depeche Mode, and there's elements of Pet Shop Boys in there as well, so that's where the electronica stuff that I was talking about earlier kind of comes in there. Although whether or not you want to call it electronica or electronic pop or post-punk is, you know, pick your poison effectively. There's definitely a lot more of those industrial, electronic, gothic vibes, and this song, this new song, Missing, is a little bit more leaning towards where my expertise would be. Not to say that I don't, you know, have a lot of knowledge or input on electronica or that era of electronic-based music. I do. I've worked with a number of bands that have had that element of it, and of course I've spoken to Big Yellow Jacket, who has moved mostly in that direction recently. But you know, my bread and butter is rock and metal and punk, and this is definitely more along those lines. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to this other view that I have here, and we're going to have a listen to that single. All right, here we go. This is Missing by pMad. I'm just going to hit play over here. Big bass line straight away. I love it. And that's a crisp sounding bass as well. I love that. And these jagged guitars. The vocals are so distinct, but they do remind me of something. I just can't quite put my finger on what they remind me of. But I like the layers here of the guitars, or even the different guitar lines that are in here. So there's this jagged one, and then there's the simple guitar line that comes in at the start of the verses. And then you've got that line sliding in underneath. So this is a lot less Rammstein and a lot more punk. The dynamics here are really good. Really strong. Oh, do you know what that really reminds me of? That little section there really reminds me of God is an Astronaut as well, actually. Some electronic influenced instrumental rock and metal. There's something really poppy about the way that builds up and then drops out. Well, I say drops out, but it doesn't really drop out. It just kind of changes dynamic. It drops some of the elements out. And that little piano line, that's nice. Kind of adds to the eeriness, to the gothicness of it. It's a jam. This is a jam. And very strong bass line throughout the whole song as well. And I love a good bass line. One thing that I could maybe do with here is like dropping everything out, big vocal push, bring everything back in. That's what I'd maybe like to see. But it is what it is. That is a solid rock song, and that is under 3 minutes long. That is less than 3 minutes. Like the player that I have here says it's 3 minutes and 2 seconds long. It's not. It's about 2 minutes 55. But that doesn't matter. That's really fun, really good, high energy, high tempo rock song. Yeah, it's really good. You know, it's so solid. It's so solid. And a lot of that record that I've listened to so far is quite similar. Like you do have like some of the heavy influence of Who, What, Where, Why, the electronic elements with the synths in there as well. But there's quite a bit more variety. What I found about Who, What, Where, Why is that maybe it was a little bit samey is the wrong word, but you were definitely hearing an awful lot of synth in that record. Whereas I think that this kind of mixes it up a little bit more and kind of feels a little bit more varied, and as a result of that feels maybe a little bit more interesting. Not that it was bad, but it would just maybe lacked a little bit of variety. Anyway, that is pMad's new single, Missing. If you liked that, then do have a listen to pMad's album. The album is called I in Power. It is worth your time from what I've listened to so far, which is more than half the record. Quite a lot of variety in there. If you like, you know, what you've just heard, if you like Depeche Mode, if you like Joy Division, if you like New Order, if you like, I don't know, Susie and the Banshees, go ahead and look him up. He's on Spotify. I imagine he's also on Apple Music, but the best place that you can go to support local artists is on Bandcamp. Throw your cash at a record if you enjoy it, and you will have it forever. Like, no, even if Spotify shuts down tomorrow, you will still have that record. You'll have it downloaded on your machine, on your device. But that is all that I have for you on this for now. Thank you so much for stopping by and for giving me your time. I very much appreciate that. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel to see more of this kind of stuff, to support local artists. And of course, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.